Aaron Hillel Swartz was an American computer programmer, entrepreneur, writer, political organizer, and Internet activist. He was involved in the development of the web feed format RSS and the Markdown publishing format, the organization Creative Commons, the website framework Web. PY, and the social news site Reddit, in which he became a partner after its merger with his company, Infogami. Swartz's work also focused on civic awareness and activism. He helped launch the Progressive Change Campaign Committee in 2009 to learn more about effective online activism. In 2010, he became a research fellow at Harvard University's Safra Research Lab on Institutional Corruption, directed by Lawrence Lessig. He founded the online group Demand Progress, known for its campaign against the Stop Online Piracy Act. On January 6, 2011, Swartz was arrested by Met Police on state-breaking and entering charges, after connecting a computer to the Met network in an unmarked and unlocked closet, and setting it to download academic journal articles systematically from JSTOR using a guest user account issued to him by Met. Federal prosecutors later charged him with 2 counts of wire fraud and 11 violations of the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, carrying a cumulative maximum penalty of $1 million in fines, 35 years in prison, asset forfeiture, restitution, and supervised release. He committed suicide while under federal indictment for data theft, a prosecution that was characterized by his family as being the product of a criminal justice system rife with intimidation and prosecutorial overreach. Swartz declined a plea bargain under which he would have served 6 months in federal prison. 2 days after the prosecution rejected a counteroffer by Swartz, he was found dead in his Brooklyn apartment where he had hanged himself. In June 2013, Swartz was inducted posthumously into the Internet Hall of Fame. Life and works. Swartz was born in Highland Park, Illinois, the eldest son of Jewish parents Susan and Robert Swartz. His father had founded the software firm Mark Williams Company. Swartz immersed himself in the study of computers, programming, the Internet, and Internet culture. He attended North Shore Country Day School, a small private school near Chicago, until 9th grade. Swartz left high school in the 10th grade, and enrolled in courses at the Chicago Area College. At age 13, Swartz won an Ars Digita Prize, given to young people who create useful, educational, and collaborative non-commercial websites. At age 14, he became a member of the working group that authored the RSS 1.0 web syndication specification. Entrepreneurship. Swartz attended Stanford University. During his freshman year, Swartz applied to Y Combinator's very first summer founders program, proposing to work on a startup named Infogami, designed as a flexible content management system to allow the creation of rich and visually interesting websites, or a form of wiki for structured data. After working on Infogami with co-founder Simon Carstensen over the summer of 2005, Aaron opted not to return to Stanford, choosing instead to continue to develop and seek funding for Infogami. As part of his work on Infogami, Swartz created the WebPY web application framework because he was unhappy with other available systems in the Python programming language. In early fall of 2005, Swartz worked with the founders of another nascent Y Combinator firm, Reddit, to rewrite the Lisp codebase using Python and WebPY. Although Infogami's platform was abandoned after not a bug was acquired, Infogami's software was used to support the Internet Archive's Open Library project and the Web Web framework was used as basis for many other projects by Swartz and many others. When Infogami failed to find further funding, Y Combinator organizers suggested that Infogami merge with Reddit, which it did in November 2005 to form a new firm, Not a Bug, devoted to promoting both products. Although both projects initially struggled to gain traction, Reddit began to make large gains in popularity in 2005 and 2006. In October 2006, based largely on the success of Reddit, Not a Bug was acquired by Condé Nast Publications, the owner of Wired magazine. Swartz moved with his company to San Francisco to work on Wired. Swartz found office life uncongenial, and he ultimately left the company. In September 2007, Swartz joined with Infogami co-founder Simon Carstensen to launch a new firm, Jotit, in another attempt to create another Markdown-driven content management system in Python. Activism. In 2008, Swartz founded Watchdog.net, the good government site with teeth, to aggregate and visualize data about politicians. In the same year, he wrote a widely circulated guerrilla open access manifesto. One of his more notorious works that supports activism is Deaddrop, now renamed the Secure Drop, a platform for secure communication between journalists and sources used at several news organizations, including ProPublica, The Intercept, The Guardian, and The Washington Post. Progressive Change Campaign Committee. In 2009, wanting to learn about effective activism, Swartz helped launch the Progressive Change Campaign Committee. He wrote on his blog, "I spent my days experimenting with new ways to get progressive policies enacted and progressive politicians elected." Swartz led the first activism event of his career with the Progressive Change Campaign Committee, delivering thousands of Honor Kennedy petition signatures to Massachusetts legislators asking them to fulfill former Senator Ted Kennedy's last wish by appointing a senator to vote for health care reform. Demand Progress. In 2010, Swartz co-founded Demand Progress, a political advocacy group that organizes people online to take action by contacting Congress and other leaders, finding pressure tactics, and spreading the word about civil liberties, government reform, and other issues. During academic year 2010-11, Swartz conducted research studies on political corruption as a lab fellow in Harvard University's Edmund J. Safra Research Lab on Institutional Corruption. Author Cory Doctorow, in his novel Homeland, Doctor on advice from Swartz in setting out how his protagonist could use the information now available about voters to create a grassroots, anti-establishment political campaign. Quote, in an afterword to the novel, Swartz wrote, "These tools can be used by anyone motivated and talented enough. Now it's up to you to change the system. Let me know if I can help." Stop Online Piracy Act. Swartz was involved in the campaign to prevent passage of the Stop Online Piracy Act, which sought to combat internet copyright violations but was criticized on the basis that it would have made it easier for the U.S. government to shut down websites accused of violating copyright and would have placed intolerable burdens on internet providers. Following the defeat of the bill, Swartz was the keynote speaker at the F2C Freedom to Connect 2012 event in Washington, D.C. on May 21, 2012. His speech was titled, "How We Stopped SOPA," and he informed the audience. He added, "We won this fight because everyone made themselves the hero of their own story. Everyone took it as the job to save this crucial freedom." Quote, he was referring to a series of protests against the bill by numerous websites that was described by the Electronic Frontier Foundation as the biggest in Internet history, with over 115,000 sites altering the web pages. Swartz also presented on this topic at an event organized by ThoughtWorks, WikiLeaks. On December 27, 2010, Swartz filed a Freedom of Information Act request to learn about the treatment of Chelsea Manning, alleged source for WikiLeaks, PACER. In 2008, Swartz downloaded about 2.7 million federal court documents stored in the PACER database managed by the Administrative Office of the United States Courts. The Huffington Post characterized his actions this way: Swartz downloaded public court documents from the PACER system in an effort to make them available outside of the expensive service. The move drew the attention of the FBI, which ultimately decided not to press charges as the documents were, in fact, public. PACER was charging 8 cents per page for information that Carl Malamud, who founded the non-profit group Public Resource Org, contended should be free, because federal documents are not covered by copyright. The fees were plowed back to the courts to finance technology, but the system a budget surplus of some $150 million, according to court reports, reported the New York Times. PACER used technology that was designed in the bygone days of screechy telephone modems, put the nation's legal system behind a wall of cash and kludge. Malamud appealed to fellow activists, urging them to visit one of 17 libraries conducting a free trial of the PACER system, download court documents, and send them to him for public distribution. After reading Malamud's call for action, Swartz used a Perl computer script running on Amazon cloud servers to download the documents, using credentials belonging to a Sacramento library. From September 4 to 20, 2008, it accessed documents and uploaded them to a cloud computing service. He released the documents to Malamud's organization. On September 29, 2008, the GPO suspended the free trial pending an evaluation of the program. Swartz's actions were subsequently investigated by the FBI. The case was closed after 2 months with no charges filed. Swartz learned the details of the investigation as a result of filing a FOIA request with the FBI and described the response as the usual mess of confusions that shows the FBI's lack of sense of humor. PACER still charges per page, but customers using Firefox have the option of saving the documents for free public access with a plugin called Recap. At a 2013 memorial for Swartz, Malamud recalled the work with PACER. They brought millions of U.S. district court records out from behind PACER's paywall, he said, and found them full of privacy violations, including medical records and the names of minor children and confidential informants. We sent our results to the chief judges of 31 district courts. They redacted those documents and they yelled at the lawyers that filed them. The Judicial Conference changed the privacy rules. The bureaucrats who ran the Administrative Office of the United States Courts. We were thieves that took $1.6 million of the property, so they called the FBI. Found nothing wrong. Malamud penned a more detailed account of his collaboration with Swartz on the PACER project in an essay that appears on his website. Writing in Ars Technica, Timothy Lee, who later made use of the documents obtained by Swartz as a co-creator of Recap, offered some insight into discrepancies in reporting on just how much data Swartz had downloaded. In a back-of-the-envelope calculation a few days before the offsite crawl was shut down, Swartz guessed he got around 25% of the documents in PACER. The New York Times similarly reported Swartz had downloaded an estimated 20% of the entire database, based on the facts that Swartz downloaded 2.7 million documents while PACER, at the time, contained 500 million. Lee concluded that Swartz downloaded less than 1% of the database. Wikipedia. Swartz volunteered as an editor at Wikipedia, and in 2006, he ran unsuccessfully for the Wikimedia Foundation's Board of Trustees. Also in 2006, Swartz wrote an analysis of how Wikipedia articles are written, and concluded that the bulk of the actual content comes from tens of thousands of occasional contributors, or outsiders, each of whom may not make many other contributions to the site, while a core group of 500 to 1,000 regular editors tend to correct spelling and other formatting errors. According to Swartz, the formatters aid the contributors, not the other way around. His conclusions, based on the analysis of edit histories of several randomly selected articles, contradicted the opinion of Wikipedia co-founder Jimmy Wales, who believed the core group of regular editors were providing most of the content while thousands of others contributed to formatting issues. Swartz came to his conclusions by counting the total number of characters added by an editor to a particular article, while Wales counted the total number of edits. Software developments. RDF XML at W3C. In 2001, Swartz joined the RDF Core Working Group at the World Wide Web Consortium, where he authored RFC 3870, Application RDF plus XML Media Type Registration. The document described a new media type, RDF XML, designed to support the semantic web. Markdown. Swartz was a major contributor to Markdown, a lightweight markup language for generating HTML, and author of its HTML2 text translator. The syntax for Markdown was influenced by Swartz's earlier ATX language, which today is primarily remembered for its syntax for specifying headers, known as ATX-style headers. Markdown itself remains in widespread use. Open Library. It was reported after his death that around 2006, Swartz acquired the Library of Congress's complete bibliographic dataset. The library charged fees to access this, but as a government document, it was not copyright protected within the USA. By posting the data on Open Library, Swartz made it freely available. The Library of Congress project was met with approval by the Copyright Office. Other sources show that the file was donated to the Internet Archive from Plymouth State University's library system, Scriblio. Regardless of the source, the file became the basis for the Open Library, with Swartz as chief designer. Tor2 Web. In 2008, Swartz worked with Virgil Griffith to design and implement Tor2 Web, an HTTP proxy for Tor hidden services. The proxy was designed to provide easy access to Tor from a basic web browser. Dead-Drop. In 2011-2012, Swartz and Kevin Poulsen designed and implemented Dead-Drop, a system that allows anonymous informants to send electronic documents without fear of disclosure. In May 2013, the first instance of the software was launched by The New Yorker under the name Strongbox. The Freedom of the Press Foundation has since taken over development of the software, which has been renamed SecureDrop. JSDOR. According to state and federal authorities, Swartz used JSDOR, a digital repository, to download a large number of academic journal articles through MIT's computer network over the course of a few weeks in late 2010 and early 2011. At the time, Swartz was a research fellow at Harvard University, which provided him with a JSDOR account. Visitors to MIT's Open Campus were authorized to access JSDOR through its network. The authorities said Swartz downloaded the documents through a laptop connected to a networking switch in a controlled access wiring closet at MIT. The door to the closet was kept unlocked, according to press reports. When discovered, JSDOR claims that its employees initially placed a video camera in the room to film Swartz and left Swartz's computer untouched. untouched. Once a video was captured of Swartz, the download was stopped and Swartz identified, rather than pursue a civil lawsuit against him. In June 2011, it reached a settlement wherein he surrendered the downloaded data. A arrest and prosecution on the night of January 6, 2011. Swartz was arrested near the Harvard campus by MIT police and U.S. Secret Service agent. He was arraigned in Cambridge District Court on 2 state charges of breaking and entering with intent to commit a felony. On July 11, 2011, Swartz was indicted by a federal jury on charges of wire fraud, computer fraud, unlawfully obtaining information from a protected computer, and recklessly damaging a protected computer. On November 17, 2011, Swartz was indicted by a Middlesex County Superior Court grand jury on state charges of breaking and entering with intent, grand larceny, and unauthorized access to a computer network. On December 16, 2011, state prosecutors filed a notice that they were dropping the 2 original charges, the charges listed in the November 17, 2011, indictment were dropped on March 8, 2012. According to a spokesperson for the Middlesex County prosecutor, the state charges were dropped to permit a federal prosecution headed by Stephen P. Heyman and supported by circumstantial character evidence provided by Secret Service agent Michael S. Pickett to proceed unimpeded. On September 12, 2012, federal prosecutors filed a superseding indictment adding 9 more felony counts, which increased Swartz's maximum criminal exposure to 50 years of imprisonment and $1 million in fines. During plea negotiations with Swartz's attorneys, the prosecutors offered to recommend a sentence of 6 months in a low-security prison if Swartz would plead guilty to 13 federal crimes. Swartz and his lead attorney rejected that deal, opting instead for a trial in which prosecutors would have been forced to justify the pursuit of Swartz. The federal prosecution involved what was characterized by numerous critics such as former Nixon White House counsel John Dean as an overcharging, 13-count indictment and overzealous prosecution for alleged computer crimes, brought by the U.S. Attorney for Massachusetts Carmen Ortiz, facing potential incarceration for alleged criminal offenses for which the victims, MIT and JSDOR, declined to pursue civil litigation. Swartz committed suicide on January 11, 2013. After his death, federal prosecutors dropped the charges. On December 4, 2013, due to a Freedom of Information Act suit by the investigations editor of Wired magazine, several documents related to the case were released by the Secret Service, including a video of Swartz entering the MIT network closet. Death, funeral, and memorial gatherings. Death on the evening of January 11, 2013, Swartz was found dead in his Brooklyn apartment by his partner, Taryn Stinabrickner Kaufman. A spokeswoman for New York's medical examiner reported that he had hanged himself. No suicide note was found. Swartz's family and his partner created a memorial website on which they issued a statement, saying, "He used his prodigious skills as a programmer and technologist not to enrich himself but to make the Internet and the world a fairer, better place." Days before Swartz's funeral, Lawrence Lessig eulogized his friend and sometime client in an essay, Prosecutor as Bully. He decried the disproportionality of Swartz's prosecution and said, "The question this government needs to answer is why it was so necessary that Aaron Swartz be labeled a felon. For in the 18 months of negotiations, that was what he was not willing to accept." Cory Doctorow wrote, "Aaron had an unbeatable combination of political insight, technical skill, and intelligence about people and issues. I think he could have revolutionized American politics. His legacy may still yet do so." funeral and memorial gatherings. Swartz's funeral services were held on January 15, 2013, at Central Avenue Synagogue in Highland Park, Illinois. Tim Berners-Lee, co-creator of the World Wide Web, delivered a eulogy. The same day, The Wall Street Journal published a story based in part on an interview with Stina Brickner-Kaufman. She told the journal that Swartz lacked the money to pay for a trial and it was too hard for him to make that part of his life go public by asking for help. He was also distressed, she said, because two of his friends had just been subpoenaed and because he no longer believed that Mitt would try to stop the prosecution. Several memorials followed soon afterward. On January 19, hundreds attended a memorial at the Cooper Union Speakers Hut which included Stina Brickner-Kaufman, open source advocate Doc Searles, Creative Commons Glenn Otis Brown, journalist Quinn Norton, Roy Singham of ThoughtWorks, and David Siegel of Demand Progress. On January 24, there was a memorial at the Internet Archive with speakers including Stina Brickner-Kaufman, Alex Stamos, Bruce DeCarl and Carl Malamud. On February 4, a memorial was held in the Cannon House office building on Capitol Hill. Speakers at this memorial included Senator Ron Wyden and Representatives Darrell Issa, Alan Grayson and Jared Polis, and other lawmakers in attendance included Senator Elizabeth Warren and Representatives Zoe Lofgren and Jan Sharkowski. A memorial also took place on March 12 at the MIT Media Lab. Swartz's family recommended GiveWell for donations in his memory, an organization that Swartz admired, had collaborated with, and which was the sole beneficiary of his will.